What's the creepiest place you've been? One year I worked in a haunted house that was inside a building that used to be a funeral home. The morgue was downstairs and still had the drawers. My job was to lay in the drawer and pop out when people walked by. Laying in a cramped drawer, in the dark, on cold metal, with flashes of lights and screams in the distance was probably the creepiest place. I scared so many people, including a middle school-aged kid who straight up pooped his pants and a drunk college chick who peed. So it was kind of worth it. You're probably in some people's creepy stories. I hope so. I actually enjoy scaring people. The next night I got to work the hallway that leads people into the morgue. It was narrow enough to kind of ninja climb up it by putting feet and hands on both walls, and I was able to get pretty parallel to the ceiling. People would walk right below me and I would either yell or drop down behind them. I only did that for half an hour before my arms got tired. And got kicked in the groin. Overall a much better experience than the drawer. One time me and my brother were hiking and came across an old one-room schoolhouse next to an old fire road or something. We decided to stay the night in it, and late at night some drink teens came beating on the doors yelling "wake up" or something like that. Then my brother yelled no and those kids got out of there so good damn quick. We ran into a local the next day who told us that the schoolhouse is supposed to be haunted. So that's how me and my brother helped build upon an urban legend. An abandoned mental institution in NJ. My friend brought us there and we wandered the grounds and went in a few buildings, including the morgue. The offices still had patient files and the pediatric area still had kids' artwork. It had been abandoned for about 8 years at that point. It was really creepy and also really sad. Marlborough? Greystone? Hagedorn? North Princeton Developmental Center in Skillman. I think it was 2004 when I went. Back during Vietnam my unit got hit hard in the jungle. We split and one group went to help find the VC who attacked us, we stayed behind to evacuate the wounded. The 4 able bodies were supposed to hop on with the injured and go. We load up and one chopper doesn't make it back, so we 4 can't load, we would be grossly overweight. Its late son is low, pilot says he will drop these guys and come back for us. So we divvy up ammo from the wounded and squat in an open field. 20 minutes goes by, then an hour. 2 hours, it's now pitch black and we're seated in a grassy field. We spent the whole night looking at every stick and leaf THST twitched, you could feel the tension. We sat in a star back to back with our rifles pointed out. We knew we couldn't repel the attack, but we decided to take as many as we could before being overrun. If overrun we would pull grenades and do everyone in the VC for 25 feet in every direction. The tension was thick. Sunrise we heard the Huey come. On the way back he had a hydraulics issue, they worked all night to fix it so we could get flown out ASAP. All 4 dust-offs had issues and took bullets, so that is why the other one didn't return the first time. That field of grass was extremely spooky even if it was just in our minds. You must have been wide awake the whole ducking night. Every rustle of grass, every bug flapping its wings got a muzzle pointed at it. No sleep was had by anyone. We didn't even get up to pee, just hung it out and whizzed in the grass. Christ almighty, this is tense just reading it. This absolutely qualifies. This is what happens when the Army does transport for the USMC. It was extremely tense and spooky, knowing you're alone, and the fact we only had so much ammo only made it worse. We all had a fragmentation grenade on our laps as our final solution. I wasn't going pow. Well, I mean, one way or another you were definitely going pow. Very true, only difference is how many others were going with me. Goddamn straight. One vet to another, thanks man. I went to a rest stop at 1 a.m. outside Springfield, Illinois a few years back. Went to the restroom and there was blood everywhere. It looked like something got slaughtered. I have never hightailed it out of somewhere so quickly beforehand. Update, so a bit of context. This occurred at a rest stop along Highway 55 outside of Springfield. This was a very old rest stop, not a gas station. It happened in October, maybe November, of 2014. Pretty close to Halloween. Probably a junkie that shot up wrong and blew a vein. Unfortunately pretty common. I worked at a gas station for a while and once walked into our restroom to what looked like a brutal murder scene. Blood on everything, walls, ceiling, doors. Literal puddles across the floor. Called the cops and they found the needle in one of the puddles of blood. Edit, there's been some confusion with my phrasing. I did not mean that it is common for users to blow a vein. What is common is for drug users to use gas station or rest stop bathrooms to shoot up in. Till this happens. I explored the abandoned Six Flags in New Orleans. It was closed for Katrina and never opened again. While my friends and I were there, we found everything essentially as it was left 4 years prior: computers in the admin office, tickets in admission booth, even jars of ducking pickles in the concession stands. Everyone thought Katrina would just pass by with only some damage. Sadly, it didn't, so no one went and cleaned everything up. Everyone thought Katrina would just pass by with only some damage. One of the more stupid decisions in my life. Yeah, I've been through a bunch of hurricanes here before. I'm stocked with beer, water, red beans, rice, etc. There's no reason to leave town. But yeah, that sucked. Not trying to take you down memory lane, but when did you realize it was actually serious? Hurricane Katrina changed course. No one thought it would hit New Orleans until it was literally about to hit New Orleans. I lived in New Orleans for a bit, and the number of people who said that to me just boggled my mind. Edit, I just want to add, it didn't boggle my mind because of the fact that they didn't expect it to hit. It boggled my mind how casual they expected to be about it. No one really had hindsight. In their defense, when you live close to the Gulf, hurricanes become sort of a norm that you deal with. I'm 21 and have stayed home for too many storms to remember, both before and after Katrina. You stock up and prepare for a day with no power, but literally no one could have predicted the levee breaking and the actual Gulf flooding the city. Still devastating to think about. I co-sign this. There were several storms that were close calls in the years before Katrina. In fact, Ivan was in 2004, the year before Katrina. My experience evacuating for Ivan was horrific. It took me 24 hours to get to Houston, a 6-hour drive, and then I had to turn around and drive back because the storm missed New Orleans. Until you have had to evacuate for a storm, you have no idea how traumatic and difficult it is. Also, a lot of people didn't have the means to get out. You also have to worry about people looting your stuff. So, I get why some people didn't leave. Operating room for brain surgery. It's freezing cold. They wheel you up to this stainless steel bed with a cage you put your head in. They tighten down clamps on your head so it can't move. Then knock you out. You wake up multiple times over a 4.5-hour surgery, semi-conscious, eyes closed, but you can say "I hear you guys," or snap your fingers and hold a finger up like waiter, and the anesthesiologist hits you with a dose. After they're done, they poke a giant needle, ice pick, into different facial muscles to make sure they didn't break anything. Poking it into a muscle causes a subconscious flinching, and they look at the muscle group flinching to make sure each category is still rigged up. I had a bunch of scabs and taped cotton balls across my face and scalp. Then they seal up your skull and sign off on it. They use reciprocating saws and similar power tools to carpenters. It's morbid, terrifying, cold. But it can give you your life back. I spent 2 nights in the hospital and was driving to work 7 days later feeling like $1 million. I was on a family vacation to Atlanta, about 1972. We went to visit some cousins of my grandmother's. Twin sisters, never married, in their 80s. The house was in a rundown neighborhood. From the street you'd think it was abandoned. Overgrown yard, part of the roof caved in, boarded up windows. Inside, it was all antiques, and furniture from the 30s and 40s, slowly deteriorating, and it looked as though they hadn't dusted in years. Wallpaper peeling, old portraits half fallen. Looking up to the second floor from the stairs, just cobwebs and collapsed ceilings. They said they hadn't been up there in years. And definitely rat noises. They both looked and lived like ghosts, and seemed half mad, very civil and proper but off. As an 8-year-old, I was terrified, especially when one of them joked and said, "You should leave him here. He can live with us." I burst into tears, and we left. #X200B. Have you seen Grey Gardens? There's both a documentary and a film. It's about some relatives of the Kennedys who were once very well off, but were very eccentric and their estate fell into disrepair. The entire estate got condemned, I believe. The documentary, now parody on Netflix, is pretty fantastic too, scenty passages. My own attic when I was 8. Shut the lights off on your way out and sprint down the steps like the ceiling is collapsing behind you. Whoever says childhood is fun and beautiful is wrong, it's terrifying. Yeah, duck all basements and attics and sheds that have a light switch, or pull cord, some distance inside and not right at the door. My parents' basement is unfinished, literally leads right into the dirt, looks like the end of the Blair Witch Project. Ducking terrifying. Wait, unfinished basements lead to dirt where you live? My idea of unfinished is cement floors and insulated but unfinished walls. Sure. Where else would you poop?